Hello friends, welcome back to Snippet Coder and we are back with another video. This is the second video of our Flutter and NodeJS grocery app series. In this video, we will integrate the category API which we have covered in our previous video into our Flutter applications. If you have not watched that categories APIs video, I will request you to first watch that video to understand how API created for the Flutter application. So this is our application which we are going to create here. And here we are showing the all categories, and these categories are coming from our NodeJS API. So before starting the video, if you are new to our channel, subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you. So in our Flutter application, we are going to use multiple packages, and first one is a Flutter _ Riverpod. Riverpod is also a state management solution in the Flutter. It is basically a provider, but of a different type. But it is a very powerful state management library that allow you to easily create, access and combine provider with the minimal code, write testable code and keep your logic outside the visit tree. Catch programming error at a compile time rather than at the runtime. Riverpod support multiple provider of the same type, combining asynchronous provider, adding provider from anywhere. So for using it, we have to add this Flutter _ Riverpod, but if we are using the Flutter hooks, we can use that hooks _ Riverpod in that case. And this Riverpod required other packages also. And next one is a freeze package. So basically, if you are familiar with the other programming language, you may have heard about the concepts such as data classes or the pattern matching. These features are excellent at making your code base more robust and readable, but sadly Dart currently does not support those features. So freeze is designed as a language patch relying on the code generation to implement those missing features. So using freeze, we will get a simple concise syntax for defining models, where we don't need to define both the constructor or property. Instead, we only need to define the constructor and removing unnecessary duplications. So it's also provide the union type pattern matching and automatic serialization and deserialization of the object, and a default equal to /toString implementation. So you can read the documentation from here. And for integrating in the Flutter application, we have to add a dependency in the freeze _ annotations. In the dev dependency, we have to add the build runner and the freeze here. And also we have to going to use this freeze annotation and that JSON annotation in the application. So now let's move to the Flutter code. So this is our application, Flutter application. So now we are going to add the packages in our pubspec. These are the packages which we have added: freeze _ annotation, and then we have the JSON _ annotation, then we have that HTTP package for API handling and all, then we have the Flutter _ Riverpod for our state management and all. Then we have to add some dependency in our dev _ dependency also, and here we have to add the dependencies. First one is a builder _ runner. Then we have the first one is a builder _ runner. Then we have our freeze package. Then we have our JSON _ serializable. So now we will create our model file, category model, and from there we will learn how to integrate our freeze plugin and all. Here we have to create the folder structure also. The first folder we will make here is for the API. Then we have to make one more folder for the models. Then again we have to make folder for our pages, one more folder for our providers. And then we have our folder for the widgets. So these are the folder which is required for our application and to have a proper structure of the application. Inside the model, we have to create one file, category dot file. And here we have to create one class, abstract class category. Then we have to do the mixing with our $$ category. Then here we have to add the code factory category is equal to _ category. Here we have to add the variables string category name, required string category image. Then we have required string category ID. And here we have to add our annotation @freeze. Then here we have to add part here, category .freeze.dart. We will copy this and we will paste here. And here we have category.g. We have to make sure that file name should be same. So what we are doing here, we have added the freeze annotation here, and we have added the parts here, and we are telling the freeze library that we want this class to be included in the generator. So whenever we have to make this class generated from the freeze library, we have to make sure we are putting these one. So next what we have doing here, we have created the abstract class and we have included with our $category mixin with which freeze has generated for us. Then we have the constructor here, factory constructor here, and that is redirected to our underscore category, which is also coming from this part. So now you can see here we have created this class. So now we have to generate these class with the help of this freeze library. So for that we have to run the command here. So we have to go to the terminal and from here we will run the command. So this is the command flutter space pub space run space build underscore runner. Then we have space build. Then we have to put the config for that delete conflicting output. So if there is any conflicting output, it will delete it. So now we will press the enter here. So if I go to our folder also, you can see those files will be generated once the command is generated. So for now, let's comment this code. So now if you see here in the folder, that model folder, that category.freeze.dart file has been created here. So if we go to this file, you can see here we have the multiple function which is auto generate from the freeze library. So now we will go back to our category.dart file again, and from here we will add factory category dot from JSON map string dynamic JSON underscore category, and we have to put here $sign also from JSON, and we will put here JSON. Now we have to uncomment this line. So what it will do, it will create the serialization for this function in this file category.g.dart file, and again we have to run that command. So now you can see here we have not received any error here. If I go to the folder, here you can see we have that new file category.g.dart file, and from here you can see it has generated two functions for us, that category from JSON. So if you have watched my previous video, you have noticed that I have creating all these functions manually, but now we don't need to do anything manually. It is all auto generated with the help of that libraries and all. So our category model file is ready. So now let's move further. So now we have to modify our main.dart file, and for that we have to go to our main.dart file, and here we have to remove all the unnecessary code here. We will remove this code and this one also, and from here also we have to remove, and this one also. And here we have to add provider scope. Basically, once the Riverpod is installed, we have to wrap our root widget with our provider scope, and provider scope is a widget that stores all the state of all the provider we create. And here we have provider scope. And now we will create one file here inside our pages, home underscore page.dart file, and we will make it as a stateless widget page. And this one we will link here, and the implementation of the home page we will do later on. And now we have to create one more file, and we will name it as a config.dart file, and here we will create class config, and here we have static constant string app name is equal to grocery app. Then we will have static constant string API URL is equal to, and here we will put the URL for our application 10.0.4:5000, and make sure if you are using localhost API, then you have to put the IP address, else it will not work. If you put here localhost, then it will not work here. You have to put the IP address of your local machine where the NodeJS API is hosted. And here we have to add one more variable, static constant string category API is equal to API/category semicolon. Then here we have static constant string page size is equal to 10, and this one we have to make it as a integer. So our config file is ready, and here in the config file we have app name, API URL, then we have the category API endpoint, then we have the page size here. So we have to do one small modification in our API also, and before that I have to explain you what we have to do there. And before that we have to go to our model file in the category.dart file, and here you have noticed that we have three variables. First one is the category name, then we have the category image, then we have the category ID. So this category ID we have not covered in our previous video of the category API. So we have to do the small modification in our Node.js MongoDB model file, and there we have to include this category ID. So let's move to the API part also. So here we have our APIs and we have to go to our model folder, and here we have the category.model.js file, and here we have to do some modifications. So what we have to do here, we have to put here comma, then we have to put here toJSON function, and here we have to do the transformation, and this one will be JSON, and here we have to add transform function doc return, and before that we have to put here curly bracket and here also, and from here we have to do the transformation, and this one will be transform, and here we have to put return dot category ID is equal to return dot underscore ID dot toString. So what it will do, it will add new variable of category ID, and that value will be of our underscore ID. So by default all that MongoDB return the underscore ID as a primary key of that any model, and for overcoming this we have to transform our toJSON function, and here we have to return category ID. So now we have to remove this one also in our request. For that we have to put a delete return dot underscore ID, and this will delete the underscore ID. So wherever we are using the model of the category, it will delete this underscore ID, and instead of that it will show our category ID. And also we have to delete one more variable, that is return dot underscore v. So you have noticed that we are also getting this variable also with our request, and that is also not required. So now rest of the code is same, we don't need to do anything. So now let's move to our Flutter application to have the further integration. So now we will go to our API folder, and there we will get the API underscore service file, and here we will go to our API folder, and here we will create one file API underscore service dot file, and here we have to create one class API service static, and before that we have to add the reference for HTTP package also, and we have to add this package. Here we have static where client is equal to http.client. It will create the object for the client here. Now we have to create the future type of list category of nullable type, and here we have to import the file for the category model get categories. Here we have two parameters, first one is a page and another one is a page size, and we will make it as a async here. From here we will create the request headers map string request headers is equal to, and we will create the object here content type, and we will have here application/JSON. Then we will create the query string here map string query string is equal to, and we will create the object here also for the query string also. First one is a page, and we have to pass here page dot toString, and we have to make sure we are putting here toString because the page is coming as a integer value, and in the query string we have to pass here string because we are taking string here. Then we will have page size, and same we have to put here page size dot toString. Then here we have to create one variable for where URL is equal to URI dot http, and here we have to put config dot API URL. And then we have the endpoint here, and the endpoint is config dot category API, and if we go there you can see here we have that endpoint for API/category. And then we have to pass here query string also, and here we have to create one variable for response is equal to await client dot get request, and we have to pass here URL. Then we have to pass the headers here request headers. Then we will check here if response dot status code is equal to 200, that means request is successful. Then here we have where data is equal to JSON decode response dot body, and here we have to import the file for dot convert. Then we have to go to our category model, and there we have to create one small function, and here we have to create one small function list category categories from JSON, and we have to pass the string here str list category dot from JSON dot map, and here we have to put category from JSON, and we have to pass the value here, and we have to close the bracket here, and here we have to remove this bracket, and here we have to close the bracket. So now we have to call this function from our API service, and from here we will return categories from JSON, and here we have to pass data, and here we have to pass the variable name, that is data, because in our API request response of JSON we are getting the message as a variable and the data as a collection. So that we have to pick from here. In the else condition we will return here null. So what we are doing here, we have created one function for get categories, and there we have two parameters. First one is a page number, page size, then we have the request headers, then we have the query string here, then we are making as a variable of URL, and we are passing the API URL, category API, and endpoint as a endpoint, and then we have the query string. Then we have the variable for the response. We are calling here client.getRequest with the URL. Then we have the request headers. So if the response.status code is 200, then we are just creating one variable here for data, and we are just decoding the content from response.body, and from here we are returning our categories from JSON with this function which we have created, and we are passing here data. In the else condition we are just calling a return null, and here we have to use our Riverpod also, dependency and all. So here we will create the dependency injection for our HTTP client and all. So this will be created once, and it will be stay alive throughout the life cycle of the app, and this is a global variable and can be placed anywhere, but to be on the safer side we have to put it in our this file only. And here we have final API service is equal to provider, and here we have the reference API service. So this is the dependency injection we have created for API service class, and this one we can access from anywhere. So now we will move further, and so now we will create the provider file for our categories and all. And for that we have to go to our provider folder, and from here we will create category underscore provider dot file. So here in our API service you have noticed that in the get categories we have two variables. First one is the page, and then we have the page size. So we have to take care of these things also in our provider file, so that we can pass this one from the UI, and that can be accessed from the provider file, and that will be passed to our API service. For handling that we have to create one more model file, and for that we have to go to first now in our model folder, and from there we will create one file pagination dot file, and here we will create with the same pattern @freeze abstract class pagination model with underscore $sign pagination model, and here we have to create a constructor factory pagination model, and we will change the name here to the model. And here we have to provide two variables. First one is a required field of int type page, then we have the required field of int type page size is equal to underscore pagination model, and here we have to import the file. So now again we have to run the command build runner. So before running the command for the build runner we have to add here part here pagination dot freeze dot file, and from here we will run the command. So here if we see here that pagination.freeze.dart file is already created here. So now we will move to our category provider class, and from here we will get that provider final categories provider is equal to, and we have to use a future provider. So if you are new to this Riverpod, and if you want me to make a basic or you can say a tutorial video on that Riverpod, please let me know in the comment box section. I will make a separate video for Riverpod. So here in the future builder we have two things. First one is a return type of list category, and the second was a variables which we have to use and which we have to pass to get the result here. And for that we have to use a future provider dot family, and here we have list category comma pagination model. Here we have reference pagination model. So here we have final API repository as a variable name is equal to reference.watch, And here in the Riverpod, whenever we have to fetch anything, we have to put here .watch, and here we have to call this API service which we have created in our API service as a dependency injection for this class. Then we have to access this class by using reference.watch. Then we will return here API repository .get categories, and here we have to pass the pagination model values, and here we will use pagination model .page. Then we have the pagination model .page size. What it will do, it will return us our data from this get categories from the API repository, this API service. So now let's move further to our UI part, and from there we will do the integration of this Riverpod with our UI integration and all. So now we will do the integration of our API with our UI. So for that we have to first go to our visit folder, and from there we will create one new visit here, and the name of the visit is visit _home _categories dot file, and we will make it as a stateless visit home categories visit. Here we will import the material file. So here we have to create a multiple visits here. So first visit we are going to create is visit _build category list, and here we have to pass the parameter as a list type of category, and the name of the variable is categories. And from here we will return container, and we'll make the height for the container as 100. Then we have the alignment here, and we will put here alignment dot center left. Then we have the child here, and here we are going to use the list view builder, list view dot builder, and here we have to import that model file also. And here we will make the string wrap true. Physics we are using here constant clamping scroll physics. Then we have the scroll direction, and we will put here axis dot horizontal because we have to show that category list in the horizontal. Then we have the item count here, item count, and we will put here categories dot length. Then we have the item builder here, and we will put here context, and here we have the index here, and here we will create one variable for data is equal to categories, and we will pick here index here. Then from here we will return gesture detector, and we have the on tap event that we will cover later on when we do that product integration and all. And here we have the child here, and we are using the padding, and the padding we are using here edge insert dot all 8. Then we have the child here, and we are using here column visit. Inside that we have the multiple childrens here, and the first children is our container for the image container, and the margin we are using here edge insert dot all 8. Then we have the width here, and we are using a 50, and the height we are using here 50. Then we have the alignment here, and we are using here alignment dot center, and we have to show that image in the center of that box. Then we have the child here, and we will put here image dot network, and we will pick the image from the data dot category data dot full image path. And if we go there in the full image path, we are picking it from that URL plus that category image. And here instead of using that API URL, we have to put here that proper URL, because in that API URL we don't have HTTPS or HTTP, so it will give us the error. And here we will put new variable of image URL, and here we will put http// and we will use this image URL here. And after that we have to put the image height here, and we are using here height 80, or we can put here 50, because for the container we are putting a 50, and here also we have to put 50. Then after the container we will put here row visit, because we have to show that name of the category plus one icon here, and we will use here row visit. And the main axis alignment we are using here main axis alignment dot center. Then we have the cross axis alignment, and we are using here cross axis alignment dot center. Then we have the children's here, and we have two children. First one is a text visit, and we will pick from the data dot category name. Then we have the style here, and we are using a text style. Font size we are using here 12, and the font weight we are using here font weight dot bold, and we will put here constant. Then we have to put here one icon also. We put a constant icon icons dot keyboard underscore arrow right, and the size we are putting here 13. So now our this widget is ready. So now we will create one more widget that will be for consuming this widget, and here we have to use widget underscore categories list, and here we are going to consume our Riverpod integration and all, and we have to consume our category provider, and here we have to put one parameter that is visit reference, and we will change this with the stateless visit to our consumer visit, because in that Riverpod we have the two options to consume any of the provider. First one is for using the consumer, which we have traditionally used with our provider package, and there we have to define our builder and all. But instead of using that is a very complex thing, we can extend this class with the consumer visit, and just we have to put this visit reference, and here also we have to put this one visit reference, and on the basis of that reference we can consume as many as provider we want to consume in our UI. And here we have to create that variable for final categories provider is equal to ref dot watch, and whenever we have to consume any of the visit in our UI we have to use that watch. But in case we have to do any transaction, like we have to do any button click event or anything like that, then we have to use reference dot read. That we will cover later in our next videos. And here we have categories provider, then we have to pass the parameter also. Before that we have to import the file here, and here we have pagination model, and we have to pass that values here. Page number is 1 and the page size we are using at 10, and here we have to change the name here. So from here we will just return categories dot when. So here in the data we have to just have this list, then from here we will return this visit, and here we have to just pass this list with that exclamation sign because we are using the null safety feature and all. Here in the error we can show the error in case there is any error. We will have constant center child text visit, and we will show the error here. Here in the loading we can just show that circular progress indicator, and we can wrap it with our center visit, and we will make it as a constant. And before that we have to put the brackets here, and here we have to just consume this visit, and here we have the container, then we have the child here, and we are using here column visit. We have the children's here. Inside that we have to put one text visit all categories, and we will make it as a constant here, and we will wrap it with our padding visit. Then we will do the styling here, and we are using a style text style, and the font size we are using here 18. Then we have the font weight, and we are using here font weight dot bold. Then we have to call this visit. For that we have to put here category list. We have to pass here reference, and from here we will remove the constant here, and this one we will make it as a constant, and this one also we will wrap it with our padding visit. So now our home category visit ready. So what we are doing here, we have extended it with our consumer visit to use our Riverpod and all, and then we have the container here, and inside the container we have the column visit. Then we have the label for all category, then we have that padding here, and then to the padding we have that category list here, and here in the category list visit we have that reference for the visit reference, and then we are just consuming the category provider, and then we are just calling here category.when, and on the basis of the data we will show the data here, and on the basis of the error we will show the error here, and if in the meantime we can show the loader here, and the loader we are using a circular progress indicator. So now we have to integrate this visit home category in our home page, and for that we have to go to our pages homepage.dart file, and here we will change it with scaffold visit. Here we have the body part, and there we are using a container. Inside that we are using a child here, and then we have the list view, and then we have the children's here. Inside that list view we are going to have that two children's. First one is that category, and the second one will be the top 10 product that we will cover later on in the next videos. And here we will put home category visit, so it will load our categories here. So our UI is ready with the integration. So now let's run the application to see is it working or not. So here you can see the load is loading here. So here you can see we are getting all the categories here with the images here. Here the category 1, 2, 3. Then also we are getting all the images, and here we are getting all category label also. So that's all in this video. I hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share. I will come back soon with another awesome video. Thank you for watching the video.